Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are doing one of my favourite things, which is a quarterly flip through in my journals. As you can see, I have 3 here, and so we're going to go through all 3 of them today and talk about what's happening in them, what's working, what isn't working, showing what has been filled in and all that. I know that a lot of people really enjoy these. I personally am a huge fan, so let's get straight into it. So if you're new here, this is my main 2026 journal. I have 3 journals, but they all have a different purpose, and this one is kind of like a hodgepodge. It houses all of my monthly details, and it has very similar details put throughout it every single month, I must admit, but it also has some of the yearly challenges in here. More of the like playful ones, or the ones that aren't stats heavy, are definitely in this one. And I did end up tracking slightly different things this year in here as well, but mostly it's just monthlies and those first pages that are all about the challenges or things that I'm tracking for the year. The other 2 have very different vibes. So let's get straight into it. Here is my cover page, and then we're going to go straight into my reading tracker, which is a mosaic this year. My first time doing it. Many people have loved this. I will be continuing it next year, and currently I have read 92 books at the end of June, and so it is looking very full. My goal was 125 books for the year, and I'm going to easily get to that quite soon. So I am going to have to come up with an idea with some sort of tip in for adding in some more to this, but that is future me's problem. Then moving on into my bookshelfie, another one that I'm really enjoying this year because I did this little tip in. I'll move it across so you can see all 3 at the time. Sorry, all 3 sides at the one time. And I did a different style one. I'm tracking it by month. Normally I track this by star rating, and then also I decided to scatter all the numbers across these 3 bookshelves, and I have to sort of find them. It's kind of like a Where's Wally type thing, looking for numbers every month, and so I'm really enjoying it. It looks super colourful, and that's what I was aiming for. I didn't want it to look not organic. I just wanted it to look like, you know, on a normal bookshelf where you would have many different colours and they wouldn't all line up and that kind of thing. So that's what I went with, and I'm really happy with it. Again, another thing that I'm already thinking to carry over into 2027, and yeah, really happy with the overall vibe of this one. I knew that if it didn't work out this year, this would be the last time I did a bookshelfie, because I was just not enjoying the vibes of the previous years. So I'm very excited to see that this has in fact worked out how I planned it. And so this has got the first 6 months of reading on it, and I do have space for I think 150 books, and there are still some books that don't have numbers on them. So again, we may have to get a little bit creative depending on how many books I read, but again, future me problem. Moving on to the first challenges of the year, I always have my Days Read Pixel right after my bookshelfie. It's a staple thing for me to track in here, and technically it probably should be in the stats book, but it's always been in this journal, so I've always just chucked it in. So yeah, this year I normally also have a bookshelf on this side, but obviously I did the tip in instead, so I put my Read the Rainbow challenge here. I am still waiting for the perfect orange book to come along. I have kind of like a peachy toned one that looks more pink if I put it down on the paper, so I'm holding out for an orange book. Otherwise I have probably completed this. But on this side here, as I mentioned, it's the Days Read Pixel, and I am really happy with how it's coming together. Admittedly, I don't like the colours, but otherwise the trends are looking good. Not as consistent as previous years. There are some that are forming. We've got a few in this section here. There's one, oh, it ended in June, but you can see where some trends have been, you know, working for it. Mostly in the yellow, which means 1 book, and then I am loving that I can see quite clearly on days where I tend to finish books showing up on this grid here, so really happy with it. Or should I say pixel chart. Moving on to another favourite is the A to Z challenge this year. I decided to do over 2 pages. Absolutely love this, and I am tracking by author this year. I am stuck pretty much at this level. Like, I haven't really found anything to move me along. I am not yet panicking about this. I know that there'll come a couple more along the way, and then towards the end of the year I will check what's left. Q, U, X and Z tend to be the hardest ones normally, but N also ends up being a problem. I do have an author that I've got a hold for that has N starting with their last name, so that will be helpful, but whether or not I finish the book, that's another story. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how far I get with this challenge. I'm not going to worry about it until the last quarter of the year though. My 2 reading bingos were finished, I believe, in May, and I did use the worst type of pen to write with underneath these tip-ins, so you can't read the books, but I'm really happy with how this worked out. Definitely going to do this next year, and a friend of mine, I will tag her Instagram in the description below, Sophie. She has this really cool idea of actually like pulling them out of a pocket to write on, so I'm going to do that next year. I think that's an amazing idea, and obviously I will credit her for it, but very clever idea, and I think that would work better than this system because yeah, it works, and if I'd used a better pen it would be much more enjoyable to look at. But yeah, just little tweaks that I would like to make going forward. Now we have the TBR takedown and the readathons page. Now I set this page up here without realizing that I would be then setting up a journal completely about readathons. So this I haven't used at all. I tried in February to sort of keep up with it, and then I decided it's not worth it. So I just ignore that this is even here. I just flip through it every single time I'm in this part of the journal. However, the TBR takedown has had a couple more additions to it. Oh, there's a little bit of hair stuck there. Yeah, still haven't done great with this. These are all books that are physical on my bookshelf currently, and I am hoping to get through them, whether or not I pick them up as the physical book or if I read them in a different format. Whichever way, as long as it's finished, it gets marked off. I have left off Forever up for reading in July, so this month that I'm filming in, so hopefully that'll be another one ticked off. But yeah, and I'm actually reading the Enchanted Greenhouse right now, so a couple more will be ticked off by the end of July, but I don't feel like I'm doing as well on this as I should be, so I will be focusing on this in the next quarter. And then flipping over to the last 2 pages in this segment here, we've got the monthly theme, which I just track sort of for myself. I really enjoy seeing each month marked down here with a little bit of like a thumbnail type vibe of what happened in that month with design wise, and it's been incredibly helpful with having these boxes down the side here with using what I have used for the colour palette, and that has been so helpful to me. I must get ahead of myself and put down July soon, because I know the colours, they're sitting in front of me, but if I forgot them that would be really annoying. And with my brain fog that happens quite frequently now, it would be very helpful, and it has been very helpful to have these here, and I quite often will flip back just to make sure that I've got the right pen in my hand when I'm working with it. On this side here, I have been having a little bit of a love-hate with. Initially I only set up for having one book club, obviously. You can see here, this is just on its own. This was the original boxes that were all underneath these. And then I decided that I would definitely start participating in 2 book clubs every month. And then I am now part of 3 book clubs since June, so there's no way to fix that for the 3rd one, so I am not focusing on that. But I did decide to make these little doors so then I could put the 2nd book club underneath. It hasn't been the greatest year for book clubs. Either I haven't enjoyed the book or I haven't picked it up, but it is a good page. I do like the system that I did come up with, and I'm hopeful that next year I plan things out a bit more accordingly, and we don't have this issue, and hopefully there's enough room for 3 book clubs, because I do belong to these and I do want to continue. So yeah, I do have all of them, but some of them I'm just not going to get marked down because I'm either not going to read them, or I already DNF'd the book, as in case here, so before it was even chosen. So very interesting year for book clubs, but at least it has mostly a page here. Now I'm just going to quickly flip through the first, oh sorry, I forgot one more page. So this is the books read page. This is new to me for this year. I'm really enjoying it. The colours down the side represent each month. So you can see I had a lot in May, because I did read quite a lot in May. And it is currently over to here. I have enough room for 150 books here. I am definitely going to surpass that, but we'll see how we deal with that when it gets to that point. And now I'm going to flip through these very quickly because these are not part of quarter 2. So I am just going to show you, if you're new, very quickly what they looked like. And I do have to do some catching up with the blank spaces, which I always put quotes on if you're new here. Find it really interesting to see those quotes there. I did it in last year's book, and it was very nice. But it has been very interesting this year with the changes that I've made to my monthlies and how that has worked out in my favour. Here we are at quarter 2, so let's get into it a little bit. So April's theme was based off of a book called The Geographer's Map to Romance by India Holton, one of my favourite romance authors, and this particular book here is one of I knew that I was going to be doing in this series. So if you're new to the channel, this year I am taking romance books, making it my theme for each month, taking a core part of that book, like an idea, and here we've got a geography map. So the theme was maps and meadows, so that is what I went with for this one, and kept it very blue. And so that is how I've been setting up. Then when it came to my other pages, obviously this was new to me. Sorry, I should go back to here. Having the cover page like this and then having books on the front here. I've really enjoyed that. Something that I probably will continue with. But then we go into the other pages that I normally use. This has stayed basically the same. I've really enjoyed having the calendar view on one side, having the space to track what's being marked down on the calendar in the middle somewhere, and then having my arcs list here. And then I went ahead and did Dutch door system for my functional spreads this year because I felt like I had a lot of information to fit down. And also the first lines page really needed to have its own segment on each month's spreads. So this actually ended up having a little tiny tip in put in, and then I feel like a bit of page has been wasted here, so I'm wondering how I can condense it down a little bit in the future. But otherwise it's working quite well. I do have a tip in here for the extra books that I read in April. One of my biggest issues was I have been over reading. As you can now see that there are 21 books in May that I had to do an entire tip in on the front page as well. And you may have noticed that from the beginning I used to have only 3 rows across, and now I just go with 4, so there's enough room for 16 books. But if you look at how I do my reading log, if I didn't have the tip in, I only can set up for 12. So there has been a disparity of, is that the right word? There has been a problem with page count, and because I added in extra challenges at the start of the book, or extra pages towards challenges, I have run into an issue where I've had to map out the rest of these pages here, and I think I only have 3 pages spare if I stick to my guns and not use extra pages like I have in like this. So I've got to become creative with tip-ins for the rest of the year, which has been a bit of a problem for me to deal with. I'm not going to lie, it's been quite an issue and it's caused a lot of headaches. So for May I did Regency romance novel and focused it on the Bells of London series by Mimi Matthews, but it's got more of like a Jane Austen vibe because I did use a sticker pack that's called Jane Austen, and all the setups for these monthly journal pages are up on my YouTube if you would like to check them out and if you haven't seen them already. And then again I did have to go over, but thankfully both sides got used in this situation. So because of my overreading in May, I did move into June, which was a books and coffee theme for book lovers by Emily Henry, with the intention that I could not read over 16, and I stuck to that. But I was absolutely miserable towards the end of the month because I knew I wasn't allowed to go over, so I didn't read as much, and I started to hate the book that I was reading at the end as well, which wasn't fair to it, but equally it didn't compel me to enjoy it either. So very interesting experiment to see how pages in a journal can inflict issues on my reading. So I won't be doing that. I will be reading however much I want, and then just becoming creative with tip-ins from here out. So as you can see, this one's a little bit bare looking. I didn't plan for it to look this empty, but I don't hate it either. So out of the 3 themes for the second quarter, I think my favorite would be May, just because of how pretty and colourful it is, and full, I think, is the best word to use here. Everything, well, except for here, which is a good thing that I didn't get many books, just feels full and inviting, whereas June's a little bit empty looking, but I'm still quite happy with how that has gone. For the next 3 months, I have plans to really fill up my spreads in my journal, and I think that's going well with July already. I haven't actually used the journal yet. This is a sneak peek if you haven't seen the video yet of how it turned out. Just much more inviting, chaotic almost looking. And so I'm really looking forward to using these. I am obviously filming this now so then I can get into using it, because as you can see, I've not filled it in, and it is almost mid-July, so I do want to get stuck in. But that is this journal and what I have been doing in it. Let's move to another. So the next journal I want to show is my reading data journal, and if you've been here for a few years, you know that this journal has been in use since 2025, and I set it up last year with the intention of it lasting to the end of 2027 at least. And the reason I did that as a long terms collection is, 1, I really enjoy stats all being in one place together, and 2, I really hate setting up a series tracker. It's one of the banes of my existence. And yes, I love how people can set them up in their journals every year, and they look so pretty and they have enough space, and somehow it all works out. It never has worked for me that way, so I decided to create a system where I just have multiple tabs that are available for the books to end up on my shelves here and see what series I can get done using a key down here. So for 2026 the colour is purple, and so you can see pops of purple have been appearing on here. I do have a huge goal to finish some series this year. I want to finish 26 of them. I do feel quite ambitious about that, and I have to go ahead and try and track which ones I finished this year, because whilst the system works overall, I didn't think about how that would work when it came to figure out which ones were finished, because I do have a colour for finish. It's this red colour, and I just fill in the rest of the boxes with that, but obviously I've done that with every year, so I think I'm going to go through with pencil and just gently mark along the seams here, of the margins, sorry, the books that I finished in 2026, so I can count them. Yeah, that's the only way I can think of fixing that issue. Otherwise it's working extremely well. I do have to fix one thing on here. It's been bothering me for a few weeks, and more than a couple of months actually. I accidentally went to go fill this in. I don't know why I went to go DNF this one. I think I was thinking it was the duology by this one, Saga of the Unfated. I didn't enjoy book 2 starting, so I DNF'd it, and I thought that this one, because it had the word fate in it, was that book. So yeah, I need to fix that with a bit of sticker paper. Otherwise it's going really well. As you can see, I have a lot of series that I started this year, and that is sort of a frustrating one because I'm trying to focus on finishing, but we'll get there. I'm hopeful that I'll get close to my goal. Moving on into the next one that will span more than 1 year is the Owned TBR, and I finally filled this in at the start of the year. I was actually supposed to do it last year and never did it. but it is done now and I am mostly enjoying this. And as you can see, I have tried really hard not to buy many books this year and use the library instead, which has worked in my favour. Again, I have a couple more pages here along the side where I can add more books as I get them. Hopefully that will last me the entirety of this journal's lifespan. Moving into the 2026 pages in this data journal, we have my goals list here, and let's go through them really quickly. So read 26 books by a BIPOC or characters or authors, and I am definitely well on track with this. I haven't got the number off the top of my head, but I will be definitely completing this year. Read 26 books with clear LGBTQ+ representation. Again, doing very well with this one. Number 3 is complete my 2026 reading goal of 125 books. That will probably be ticked off very soon. This one here has not been a great one for me. So read at least one book from my Kindle backlog per month. As you can see, January, February and March didn't have a single one. April's had one and June's had 2. I have been picking up my Kindle a lot more for this habit of mine of forgetting to do this. So hopefully we'll make up for it a bit at the end of this year, in the second half. But I have to admit, I don't think I'm going to be able to tick this one off because I was supposed to read at least one per month. But I was hoping that if I could read 12, then I could still sort of be like, well, I did, you know, do that. But I'm not confident. Read 50,000 pages. We are well on our way. Yeah, it's going quite well. I'm not sure what this number here represents. I think that's the correct number, but it doesn't. I think it's the other way around. I think it's the other way around, so I might have to fix that. It's looking very odd to me. I think it's 18,049. Anyway, read 26 physical books. I can't say I'm doing very well with this. Physical books are a challenge for me because I have wrist injuries that mean that I can't hold. Like if I try and hold this book up like this, yeah, I can already feel it. So if the book doesn't flop open on the desk or I can't perch it on something, it makes it very difficult for me to read, so I just naturally gravitate towards digital books anyway now. But I have read physical books quite frequently in the last 2 months. I won't say lots of them, but there has been at least 1 or 2. So yeah, that is something that I'm trying to work on. My net gully percentage above 90% goal here has been working very well, so I'm very pleased with that. Finished 26 series. Again, I've just mentioned that one, so we'll see how many that ends up being, hopefully in Q3. And then read 6 books published before 2023. I think I've done this one already. Again, it's something that I need to check in with. This page kind of gets lost in me just flipping straight on to stats, and so I think I need to track this digitally, all of these goals, and then I'll be able to keep up with them from here out. But I have completed one already, which was to read 6 new to me authors, and I've listed them there. Okay, so we've now moved over into the new way that I've been tracking my 4 pages that I've really enjoyed. Last year I did them like this. Where are we? So each book got its own little box. This time round I get a really clear visual guide of what I choose to read immediately from looking at the page. So obviously 4 stars is the best rated system on this page here. I've obviously read quite a lot of 4-star books, and then it's no surprise to me that fantasy is doing well. The only thing that I will be changing about this page coming next year is that, well, it is mostly to do with this genre one. This one's absolutely fine and the other 2 are as well, but when it comes to this one here, I wanted to use the stamping system that I'd started over here, but ideally I should have not done that or tried to keep them all in a line, because it means that the same it doesn't have the same boxes or the same spacing. So what looks like something's behind a bit more, it actually could be further ahead because the lines aren't matching up, and it's kind of deceiving to the eye. Equally though, I can still tell that fantasy is doing extremely well and romantasy is right behind it, but it's still a little bit frustrating to me. The other thing I would like to change is perhaps having a bit more of a genre list. because as you can see, I put mystery down here. I haven't read any mystery books yet. That will be coming because I am doing a readathon challenge, which we'll talk about when we get to that book. But my genres are very much so not working for me when I get past this point. Paranormal actually will go from paranormal up. They are working, but mystery, horror and sci-fi, not really books that I reach out for much. And then other has become a larger segment because I've been doing this genre challenge and I don't have them on my list. So I am definitely going to be thinking about this coming the next year of how I'm going to set it up, and maybe I will still have the same paranormal and then put like other or something. I'm not sure yet. Moving on to the last two in this segment, it is the format page and length, and again everything is in line, so we can tell very quickly that I have read the majority of my reads audiobooks at this point. However, in Q2 the majority of my reads were ebooks, and then it says that I've read only 2 physical books. Is that correct? I think it might be 3. Anyway, past me filled this in, so either way it should add up. I'll have a look in my book. I think it should be 3 though. And then moving on to length, here we can see that the majority of my reads, which I already knew, are between 301 to 500 pages. We've only had one that's been over 601 pages. I think it was 602 pages, which was very funny. But yeah, it's going well. I'm really happy with how these are working. Just need to fix this one going next year. And then we've got the yearly stats page, which admittedly I'm enjoying but also not enjoying. For reference, last year it looked like where are we? Looked like this. So I've kept the same format. The only difference is the reason why I went with this really colourful page, which is very eye-catching to the camera and I really like looking at it through the lens, is I would find that my handwriting would change each month. You can see it's very upright here and then it's quite slanted over here, and that's because I do change my handwriting. I've tried really hard not to, and try to be really consistent with how I enter things into this journal this year, and that has helped. But the reason I did the colours per month is to sort of hide if anything had changed a little bit, but it is really difficult to sort of gauge what is on the page if you're just looking at it. It just looks like a whole bunch of colours and it's very pretty to look at, but I don't know if you get the same value of getting the stats information from this as you did, you know, when it was back here wherever the page is. So I think you get a better idea when you're looking at this page of what the stats are than this one, especially since June's quite a dark colour as well, so you can kind of struggle to see those numbers. I can see them in person quite well, but yeah, it has its pros and its cons, this page this year. Then moving on to these 2 pages here, admittedly I don't talk about this page here, it's just for me. I don't share it now in my videos when I'm filming. I already fill it in, or I leave it until after I've filmed now. I just feel like it is not something that I want to promote, that we all are looking at numbers in comparison, but equally it's information that I want to track, so I do have it here. And then on this side here I've got my DNFs and rereads, and in the last quarter I've reread 3 books. So it's Pride and Prejudice, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, and This Monster of Mine. And I reread both of those so I could continue on the series with fresh eyes again, back in the world again. And then on this side here, admittedly I had quite a few DNFs in April. I had 3 of them and 1 in May, and I thankfully didn't have any in June. So I am keeping this number relatively low this year, which I'm very thankful for, and that just goes to being a bit more picky with what I'm picking up. Final 2 pages in this segment is the library savings and the ARCs list. ARCs list didn't change at all from last year, so this is working as I expected it to, and thankfully with my new system of tracking everything in a document before I start filming, I have managed to keep this without having to go ahead and put any sticker paper on it, because last year I had to do it multiple times because I keep making mistakes. And then on this side here I have had 1 mistake, but I have added to the library savings list, so I've added how many books I've hired out, how many I actually read, and the amount, and then the total for the year. So currently I've saved over $1,000 on books had I read everything, had I brought everything that I've read. And that is because I've just relied on the library so much. In May I read 13 library books, and I've also re-established some subscriptions, which I'm not sure if I will be doing a long term, but they have been very helpful for me. So I am definitely not wasting money on buying books and then having to sell them because I didn't enjoy them this year. And then, as you've seen if you've watched the first quarter flip through, we had these two-page spreads for quarter one all done. So that's kind of what this quarter one stats looks like. And there was an error made on this page that I'm bringing up, so it's giving context to the second one that you'll see in a moment. I forgot to put in my format stickers, which I normally do on this page here. If we go back to 2026, here, as you can see, they're here. So yeah, things that I am happy with on this page was just how pretty it was, and I managed to fit everything in without too much hassle. This time round I did mess up, so keep that in mind. But for April and May, we've got the two stats pages here. It's giving of all the information that I've really enjoyed. I've still really enjoyed doing the pie charts. I do feel like I could add a bit more into this page, but it's full enough that I quite frankly am happy to leave it as it is for 2026 for the rest of the year. And then as we go into here, we've got June's, and then we've got this mess. It actually doesn't look that bad, actually. I have settled down from it. What I did in the first quarter one stats is I made the boxes, or sorry, the books, that's supposed to be a stack of books, 2 squares or 2 dot grids across. I accidentally went back to my old habit, which was 3, and did 3 without thinking. So that ended up squishing everything up over here. And then as we go through it, that means that this line should have been over, so then this could fit in. As you can see, it's hanging over. This is my perfectionism showing through. I'm well aware. My best friends looked at it and said it looks absolutely fine, I love it, so please stop. But this is just how my brain functions. It points out the things that I know that I want to fix for next time, and so I have made peace with it, but I am just putting them out. We've got the top 3 books for each month here. We've got all the information down here that I really enjoy having. It's very visual. I really enjoy it. We managed to fit these guys in, which is fantastic. Didn't get a title on it, but I'm happy. It shows exactly what it means with the format stickers. And then I added in a little tip in because I had space but not enough, and so I decided that I would give more space to the genres, having this tip-in on front. And then I've added this in, which I didn't have this information in my last quarter one flip through stats page, sorry, and also it never ends up on these pages, but it's on my monthly wrap-ups on Instagram, so I was able to find that information quite quickly. But I do like having it here, so I think I might keep this little tip in. I'm not sure how it will look next time, but yeah. And then on this side I've just got my other stats. So that's how that's working here. That is the end of this journal. I'm so glad that the stats book is going very well this year. The last journal that we're going to look at today is my Gamifying Reading journal. This is my readathons journal that I came up with last minute, and I absolutely love it. It's just in a blackout journal from BUKE, I think, or BUKE. I'll have it linked below. And then I always think I'm going to need an index and I never use it, so maybe at the end of the year I'll fill that in, but for now I don't use it. So moving on straight into the year-long challenges that I'm participating in. I really love a readathon. I am not a mood reader. I like to have prompts. I like to have guidance of what I'm picking up, and so this is my Buzz Year Challenge page. I've got on this side the titles, and then on this side the covers. Covers are so much easier this year to do than titles. I have actually had a really hard time and had to go back through and fill in the gaps. I tend to try and do it as the month goes, which I've been quite successful in doing this year, but for covers, but for title it's been really challenging, and I still need to read something that's got like an ordinal number in it, like the 5th season or something like that. I'm not going to read that particular book because I've DNF'd it, but that was just the first thing that came to mind. And then obviously I used first time cooler already, so I can't use it here. And so yeah, we're doing quite well with this challenge. And then moving on to the easy reading challenge, I again have all 6 months done, which I'm very thrilled about. And then a year of Goober is one of my favourite challenges to do, and they have the ability to either do 1 of 2 prompts, or if you're a completionist like I am, you will do both. So I managed to do all 12 prompts for the first 6 months of the year, which I'm very pleased about, and it looks very good on this page, all filled in, and we're ready to go for the next 6 months. And then we've got Mapper Stories here, which is new to me, and it is the one that is really throwing me out into the abyss with all these genres that I've never picked up. So this year was the first time I read a thriller book, and last month I had to do science fiction, which was actually harder than I thought it would be, and harder than doing thriller. So yeah, interesting to see how these are all working out for me. I'm currently in a contemporary month, so I'll just be reading a whole bunch of contemporary romances, and then we go into fantasy, which is my bread and butter, so we'll be fine there. And then we've got mystery, horror, non-fiction and literary fiction, and I am not looking forward to the rest, especially these last 2. Non-fiction and literary fiction I don't vibe with at all, so hopefully I'll find something good. I can always do fantasy horror and fantasy mystery, so that'll be fine for me. And then I have a little visual here for how that's looking down here, and then into the Q1 cover book bingo, which I'm not going to stop on because these are all Q1 bingos or readathons. So now we're into Q2 here, and we've got the cover bingo challenge again that is being hosted by Taylor's Books over on Storygraph, and so I've been doing that, and I almost completed it. I didn't realize that I could use more than 1 prompt per book, and so I was just doing it 1 prompt 1 book, otherwise I would have completed this. Then in May I had the Goobers readathon for the month, so we did Goobers culinary study plan, and I had a really good time. There were a few in there that I didn't quite get done, but it was really fun. And then Q3 cover bingo is in here because I didn't actually do a readathon for June, and unfortunately I forgot to put paper between, and so this is all transferred over from here, which is my current readathon that I'm doing. So that's really unfortunate, but it is working well having a blackout journal because it just gives another pop of visual aesthetic, and I really enjoy being in a different coloured paper. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed having this flip through. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to touch on a bit more. I'm really enjoying how this year is looking. I'm very excited to start setting out for 2027. And obviously my mind is already thinking about what I want to do then, because a lot of the conversation in this video has sort of talked about that. But looking forward to quarter three and seeing how it all comes together. But until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading and journaling, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye everyone.